Hey yo, I'm back. Sorry for taking so long. Holidays and stuff happened. Um, but we've got The Reaper. What if Izuku was in the Assassination classroom by Ray of Frost? Chapter 16. Operation Eldritch Horror. A cavalry battle. Itana hummed and thought about the newly announced event. Big problem, May started. There are 5 of us, but 4 people per team. Oh, Todoroki offered me a spot on his team. I'm sure I'll get through, though. But I get the feeling he doesn't understand my new skill set, Dinky added. If you think you'll be okay, I'll trust your judgment. However, don't expect us to go easy on you. Just try your best to steer Todoroki away from us, Izuku warned. I'll try and warn him about the support demons, Denki sighed, and with that, the electric boy ran off to his new team. Point values were assigned based on students' placing in the obstacle course. First place was worth 10 million points. The top 3 from the race were on the same team. They stood ominously at one end of the field. Izuku was at the front of the formation, Mei on the left, Itana on the right, and Hitoshi on top. Hitoshi was far taller than his teammates, so they'd be off balance if he wasn't the rider. All of the teams are ready, Midnight announced. A buzzer sounded through the area, signaling the beginning of the event. Operation Eldritch Horror is a go, Hitoshi commanded. Suddenly, dozens of tendrils of Black Whip shot from Izuku's wrists. They fanned out and obscured the other team's view. Behind the fan, Hitoshi hastily donned some of the support gear Itana made for this plan. On the other hand, Mei was busy hitting random devices to some of the tendrils. Team Bakugo was the first to approach. The explosive blonde uses quirk to propel himself towards the fan, only to be grabbed by the ankle and tossed back at his team. That pattern continued until a mass of vines attacked the tendrils. It was like watching a war zone. The vines and Black Whip wrestled across a large expanse of the field. Any team caught in the crossfire lost their headbands. Then the explosion started. Not from Bakugo, but from the middle of the war zone. Massive plumes of flame erupted from the mass and burned the vines, forcing Team Tetsu Tetsu to retreat. Mei brought grenades for every occasion. In the meantime, Team Todoroki was going around collecting headbands from the other competitors. His original plan was to go after the 10 million. However, Kaminari strongly suggested avoiding that team due to the support students. After watching the battle between the Vines and Black Whip, Todoroki understood why approaching was a bad idea. The new plan was to make Kaminari blast all of the nearby teams with electricity and freeze them while they were immobilized. Kaminari refused to cooperate with this plan. He refused to fry himself for the sake of the game. That was reasonable, especially since the electric teen had an easier way to use his quirk. Yaoyorozu created 2 metal staffs, one for Todoroki's ice and the other for Kaminari. Kaminari was on the left, Ida in the front, Yaoyorozu on the right, and Todoroki on top. The heterochromatic teen preferred using his ice on his right, so Kaminari covered his left. Ida would rush a team, Todoroki would block their escape with his ice, and Kaminari would use his staff to tase the team while Todoroki grabbed the team's headband. It was a good strategy that worked on most of the random teams they encountered. Then, Ida revealed he had a secret weapon, and Todoroki went back to his plan for the 10 million. Kaminari was not pleased with this decision, but the ice and fire user ignored him. Shortly after the vines retreated, Team Todoroki advanced. As they approached, Kaminari apologized to his teammates for their impending doom. The tendrils of Black Whip straightened as Team Shinzo turned to face them. The tendrils retreated to condense and wrap around Team Shinzo. Shinzo looked Todoroki in the eyes and grinned. Todoroki couldn't see the Insomniac's mouth from behind the mask he wore, But that wasn't enough to hide the sadistic glee glinting in his violet eyes. It was creepy and sent shivers down spines. Mechanical spider legs shot from the back of one of the support students, and the other support student cackled like a witch. This is what Kaminari had warned them about, and why he apologized. Ida told his team to hold on, readying his hidden technique. Then, Shinzo spoke. The mask must have been a voice modulator, because there was no way that layered voice was natural. It should have been irritating to hear the equivalent of at least half a dozen voices, but it wasn't. It was almost ethereal. The layered voices chuckled and bid them farewell, as a pair of flashbangs were launched in their direction. The blast pulled the group out of whatever funk held them in place. Todoroki rubbed his eyes and looked for the team they were pursuing. Kaminari sighed. That was our warning. We should not go after them again, unless Ida's secret move makes a move at Mach 20. There is no way you'll be faster than that team's reflexes. Their quirks and training are stacked against speedsters. Ida looked pale. You're exaggerating that Mach 20 estimate, right? No. The only one of them that isn't trained to work against speedsters is the pink-haired support student, but her quirk lets you see her from a mile away, and she has net cannons. I'd saved that special move for one of the one-on-one battles, Kaminari informed. When did you become so smart? Todoroki asked with suspicion. He was adding another part to his conspiracy theory. I'm not smart, but Izuku told me I'm good at making fast decisions. He said I'm their genius of improv. Kaminari beamed at that remark. Todoroki filed that information for later, so all of the outcasts are geniuses of some kind. The team unanimously agreed not to go after Team Shinzo again. It was a horror story they didn't want to face again. Back in the observation booth, Aizawa sighed. I don't think Shinzo even used an active part of his quirk. The microphone wasn't on, so Yamada could talk with his co-host without broadcasting it to the entire arena. What do you mean? Shinzo's quirk, brainwashing, is response activated. The move he pulled stunned the team it was directed at, Aizawa started. My guess is it has something to do with his quirk-related mutation. You know how your quirk affects your vocal cords? Hitoshi has something similar, making his voice easier to listen to or something. That voice modulator seems to overlap that effect, making his voice too easy to listen to. If that's even possible, Aizawa speculated. Jeez, talk about an exploit, Yamada sighed. That was made specifically for Shinzo. Is he friends with the support students? They call their group the Outcasts. From what I've gathered, the group was initially formed in middle school. Midoriya, Shinzo, and the white-haired support student are new AI face of security, and a guy they call Keigo, who is apparently a daylight hero. Hatsume and Kaminari were added early in the school year, but the group is taking after their name and becoming distant from their new classmates. They sound like a pretty tight-knit system. They're practically family, and most of the founding members have trust issues. I wonder what hero Keigo is. Yamada gained a pensive expression. The voice hero was brought out of his thoughts by what could only be described as an arachnophobe's worst nightmare. Leaping across the field was a mixture of black and mechanical limbs that resembled a massive spider with way too many legs. At the center of the spider was Team Shinzo. The cackles of the support witch May radiated from the group. A buzzer rang out across the stadium. Yamada pushed the button to turn the microphones back on. And that's the end of the second event, he announced. The teams moving on to the final round are... He cleared his throat for effect. Team Shinzo with 10,645 points. Team Todoroki with 720 points. Team Bakugo with 683 points. And Team Tetsu Tetsu with 354 points. The crowd cheered at the declaration for the 16 students moving to the final event. A new display appeared on the screens, lining the stadium, along with Ritsu in her present mic outfit. Midnight retook the stage to prepare the matches for the next event. A tournament bracket took shape on the screen with some sparkles. Then the first match-ups popped onto the screen. First would be Kaminari Denki of Class 1A versus Mei Hatsume of Class 1F. Then Shoto Todoroki of Class 1A versus Hantasero of Class 1A. Tetsu 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 of Class 1B versus Mina Ishido of Class 1A. Hitoshi Shinzo of Class 1A versus Tenya Ida of Class 1A. Izuku Midoriya of Class 1A versus Itsuka Kendo of Class 1B. Itana Horibe of Class 1F versus Momoya Yorozu of Class 1A. Ibara Shiozaki of Class 1B versus Ejiro Kirishima of Class 1A. Katsuki Bakugo of Class 1A versus Reiko Yanagi of Class 1B. Whew, I should probably take a breath. Chapter 17. The tournament begins. First round. Denki Kaminari of Class 1A versus Mei Hatsume, Class 1F. The outcasts sat at a picnic table under a tree. The makeshift food court in the courtyard was cleared of civilians to let the students get lunch uninterrupted. Pro heroes and a few officials were still allowed to roam the area, meaning the entirety of the outcasts could group up. "Guys, you could have warned me!" Denki shrieked, gesturing at Miss Yelovich. "You picked up a cutie," Yelovich chuckled. "Look, 3 loud blondes causing a scene," Keigo chirped. "And 3 introverts questioning their life choices," Itana sighed. Itana and Izuku nodded in affirmation. "And May," the inventor added at the end. "And May," Izuku agreed. He gained a thoughtful expression. "So, May, Denki, have you figured out what you plan on doing for the match? I already know May just wants to show off her inventions." "My quirk could potentially destroy all of her hard work in one go, and I don't want to take away her chance to show off," Denki said with a small smile. "Oh, you can borrow some of my babies," May cheered, raising one of her inventions in the air. "Hey, how about we stage a commercial? I'm sure we can convince Ritsu to play along," Yelovich commented. "I'm on board with the idea if you two are," Ritsu replied. "Let's go for it," Denki cheered. "The whole world shall witness the glory of my babies," May cackled. Denki and May approached Midnight right before their match. "Hello, Midnight," May greeted. "Hey there, you two," Midnight replied. "I was wondering if I could share my babies with Denki." "She means her inventions," Denki clarified. "Oh, the youthful passion," Midnight cooed. "As long as both parties agree, I can't see why not." May handed Denki a bunch of gadgets, and the electric teen donned the support gear with practiced ease. The inventor liked making him recharge batteries or test her inventions with his natural resistant to electric discharges. For the first round of the tournament, we have the Electric Menace of Class 1A, Denki Kaminari, versus the Support Witch, Mei Hatsume, Mike yelled over the speakers. "Ready?" the R-rated hero asked when the two nodded in confirmation. She announced the beginning of the fight. Then she saw their magic smirks and the microphones on their headpieces. "Oh no," she mumbled. May clicked a button and set off some flares from her backpack. "Welcome to today's exhibition of my glorious babies." How did she get into the speaker system? Yamada Whisper yelled at his co-host. Said co-host simply shrugged in reply. Neither of them noticed the guilty-looking AI. Then Dinky joined the advertisement, expertly explaining the support gear he used to zip around the stage and put on a brilliant show. The duo went on for 10 minutes, displaying every gadget in May's arsenal. The banter between the two made the advertisement surprisingly fun to sit through. To end the round, May lowered herself from the sky with her jetpack just outside of the out-of-bounds line. She waved to Danky as she descended from the stage. Kaminari wins by ring out, Midnight yelled. She gave the electric teen a knowing smile, but the boy was confused by the gesture. He waved at her before running after May to return her inventions. Second round, Shoto Todoroki of Class 1A versus Hantasero of Class 1A. Let's hope this round goes a little quicker. We have the icy hot hero, Shoto Todoroki, and the tape boy, Hantasero. The match was over in 10 seconds. A massive glacier reached out of the stadium and nearly hit the crowd. After being announced the winner, Todoroki erupted in a pillar of fire to melt and evaporate most of the glacier. Instead of cheering for the winner, the crowd chanted condolences to Zero for the poor pairing. It didn't need to be that quick. The third round, Tetsu versus Mina Ashido. Class 1B's brawler with a will of steel, Tetsu versus Class 1A's alien queen, Mina Ashido. Ashido rushed at the steel-clad teen and sprayed acid in his face. It burns, Tetsu shrieked. My acid is corrosive, Ashido informed. Tetsu grunted in pain as the acid ate away at the steel coating his skin. Ashido slid across her acid to close the distance and deliver a brutal uppercut to the 1B student's jaw. His armor cracked in its weakened state, and Tetsu fell to the ground, unconscious. Ashido wins by knockout, Midnight declared, and the audience cheered loudly in response. This was the most exciting match yet. Shinzo Hitoshi versus Tenya Ida. Class 1A's Mini Aizawa, Hitoshi Shinzo! Yamada whined and muttered, You didn't have to elbow me. He cleared his throat to retry his announcement. The chronically tired Hitoshi Shinzo versus Class 1A's speedster Tenya Ida. The match started and Hitoshi took a defensive stance to brace for Ida's attack. The Insomniac was barely within the boundaries. When the speedster got close enough, Hitoshi shifted to the side and parried his kick. Ida was thrown off balance, and in a fluid motion, Hitoshi shifted his weight and pulled Ida between him and the boundary line, letting the bespectacled teen flail in an effort to regain his balance. Hitoshi delivered a brutal roundhouse kick to Ida's lower back. The blow ultimately tipped Ida off balance, and he fell with a loud thud out of bounds. Shinzo wins by a ring out. We still haven't seen this kid's quirk in action. Who taught this kid martial arts? He's a natural, Yamada announced. Meanwhile, in the pro hero section of the stands, That's my baby bro, Hux cried, earning strange glances from his fellow pros. The winged hero turned and tugged on the shirt of the hero next to him. I taught him that. Mountain Lady looked at the blubbering number 3 hero with a raised eyebrow. You're acting like a proud mom, she deadpanned. Little did she know, Midoriya's proud mom had been in a similar state since the beginning of the sports festival. Now we're on to the 5th round. The shrub-looking strategist of Class 1A, Izuku Midoriya, versus Class 1B's martial arts master, Izuku Kendo. The two walked onto stage and bowed to each other. As the match started, they rushed at each other without hesitation. A fury of blows consisting of parries, jabs, and punches was exchanged. Then they began adding quirks. Kendo had mixed the sudden enlargement of her hands as part of her regular attacks. And Izuku wrapped Black Whip around her wrists in retaliation. Then, channeling the strength that lifted trashed appliances, he gripped his end of his quirk and flipped Kendo over his shoulder, slamming her into the ground. Izuku gritted his teeth and swung the orange-haired girl out of bounds. He dissipated Black Whip to let her fly out. She was able to right herself, landing on her feet, but she couldn't stop herself from flying over the white boundary line. The crowd went wild at the display of skill as Midnight announced Izuku's win. Keigo appeared to have acquired the Midoriya tears. Are they contagious? 6th round. The Spider Demon from the Support Course, Ituna Horibe versus the Hero Course's 3D printer, Momo Yaoyorozu. Ituna and Yaoyorozu engaged in a staring contest while waiting for the match to start. Ready? Midnight asked. After receiving subtle nods, she raised her whip in the air. Start! She shouted and cracked her whip. The arena went silent in anticipation, but the fighters continued their staring contest. Ituna fumbled with the controls of a device on his wrist without breaking eye contact. The glow of Yaoyorozu's quirk illuminated the stage as an object materialized from her arm. The heiress grabbed the item, and a cacophony of clicks sounded from Ituna's gadgets. 4 of Ituna's mechanical legs raised into the air as the other two stabbed into the concrete stage. The sports student clicked the last part of his wrist gadget into place, and 2 drones flew from the sidelines to form gauntlets over his arms. The steering contest was broken when Yaoyorozu pushed forward with her staff raised to strike. Ituna tanked the attack with the gauntlets, and the legs stabbed into the ground. Yaoyorozu spun around, dropping her weapon and detonating a smoke bomb in Ituna's face. Ituna retaliated by launching her with his legs and leaping forward to get the jump on the hero student. The two exchanged blows numerous times. Ituna used a mixture of the spider legs and a small army of drones to counteract Yaoyorozu's functionally infinite arsenal. Clicks and bangs could be heard within the smoke screen, accompanied by faint flashes as Yaoyorozu's creations crumpled and Ituna's gadgets gave out. The smokescreen thinned, and the audience was graced with a spectacle of machines and constructs. A swarm of drones threw off the trajectory of a net launched from a cannon, and the crowd cheered in anticipation. If they dragged out the fight any longer, neither of the fighters would have enough resources for another round. Yaoyorozu had to end the match quickly. She formed a small, black device. Ituna's eyes widened when he saw what it was. Nope. I forfeit. I give up. Ituna panicked. How long do you think it'd take for me to reprogram the drones? Or how long it'd take to pry my spider legs out of the concrete? Ituna waved the drones back to the sidelines and pulled his spider legs back into his backpack. Yaoyorozu wins by forfeit. The support student sighed and let his gauntlets revert back to their original form. I wasn't planning on winning anyway. Call me a sap, but I just wanted to help my friends. Good luck with the rest of your matches. Ituna gave her a small smile and walked off the stage to finish packing his drones. Yaoyorozu held the EMP device in her hand, taking care to ensure she didn't activate it. Thank you, she replied, and walked off in the opposite direction. Round 7. The Assassin with the Crown of Thorns, Ibara Shiozaki versus Class 1A's Brawler with a Rock-Hard Will, Ejiro Kirishima. Excuse me? I'm merely here to win, not take my opponent's life, Shiozaki corrected Mike. I'm sorry, Mike called back. I would never do something so heinous. I'm sorry, okay? Mike cried. My announcement was practically the same as Tetsu's, Kirishima interjected. I'm sorry! Please! It was a bad matchup. Kirishima's quirk was perfect for countering destructive quirks, but Shiozaki specialized in capture. It didn't take long for the redhead to get wrapped up in the sea of vines. Round 8. The explosive Pomeranian of 1A, Katsuki Bakugo, versus 1B's Phantom, Reiko Yanagi. Yanagi's blank, calm demeanor starkly contrasted with Bakugo's feral anger. The ghostly 1B student could use her quirk to move small objects. She couldn't lift a human the weight of Bakugo, but she kept herself low to the ground as she and Bakugo fought. He was forced to aim his explosions downward, creating many small bits of rubble. This process continued for a few minutes until smoke enveloped the fighting students. Bakugo surged through the smoke with a feral grin and arms poised to strike. Movement in the corner of his eye caught his attention, and his instincts were the only thing that prevented the explosive blonde from taking a chunk of concrete to the face. The smoke screen went abuzz with flying hunks of concrete laced in a soft blue glow. There wasn't much power behind the projectiles, but there were so many it clouded his vision like a swarm of bugs. Bakugo thrashed his hands about in an attempt to blast away the swarm, but it only became more aggressive and focused on his head. He began stumbling back to try and clear his eyes. He almost crossed the boundary line, so he changed his tactic. He braced both his hands and held them forward to unleash his biggest explosion yet. He couldn't see his opponent, but it didn't matter when the blast launched most of the debris out of the ring, along with Yanagi's pale frame. The tournament bracket updated to show the matchups for the quarterfinals. It would be Dinky Kaminari of Class 1A versus Shoto Todoroki, Class 1A, Mina Ishido of Class 1A versus Hitoshi Shinso of Class 1A, Izuku Midoriya, Class 1A versus Momoya Yorozu, Class 1A, Ibara Shiozaki of Class 1B versus Katsuki Bakugo of Class 1A. I should not have put so many big words in that. Anyway, I had probably way too much fun recording the lines for Mike and doing the whole intercom system thing. It was really time consuming to edit, but I think it was really funny. I hope you did too. Anyway, have a good day. Go drink some water. Cause it's good for your voice. I think I need to drink some water right now too.